Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for this episode of my random horror reviews. Today's movie is a zombie film, one that I can consider a hidden gem since it was recommended as a hidden gem. From the year 2010, today's movie is titled simply The Dead. Another movie recommendation from the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast and their Hidden Gems episode in particular. This was one recommended by JP, and if you saw my response to the Hidden Gems episode, you would know that this was one of my favorites, which explains exactly why I had to pick myself up a copy. So, have seen this movie before, but this was my first rewatch after getting a physical copy of the movie. So, without delaying any longer, before we move into my thoughts, I'll quickly run through the plot for this one. So, obviously, a zombie movie, like I said, but this one is actually very simple. A soldier's plane crashes while trying to flee Africa during a zombie outbreak. So, it's pretty much him stuck in Africa trying to survive and find either a way home or contacting home. Like I said, really simple. Other characters come in and out, but it's pretty much our lead looking to get from A to B. Like I said, either finding a way home or contacting home. And that's pretty much the plot for this one. Let's move into my thoughts of 2010's The Dead. So right from the opening of this movie, it really instantly gives you the feel of what type of zombie movie you're going to have on your hands here. Open desert plain somewhere out in Africa, guy walking alone and he stumbles across a zombie. There's no sense of urgency. These zombies in this film are walking zombies, but also he's got this gun on him, but he decides to walk around the zombie, and I feel like what that explains is, okay, it's going to be, first of all, a slower paced movie, not overly action packed. I'm going to play heavy into the survival aspects, first of all, against these hot African conditions and the weather. But he's saving ammo as well. As I said, he chooses to walk around the zombie. He's got a gun, could have shot it, but he's choosing to save ammo. That explains that he's been out there for a long time. He's got to conserve his ammo. That kind of feels like a breath of fresh air to me, especially with the type of zombie movies we get nowadays. You know, the fast running zombies, ammo constantly firing, shotgun, reload. Everything is so action packed nowadays. This one just felt like a breath of fresh air right from the opening. And I feel like that's a good place to start now that we're talking about the zombies, because I really like the zombies in this one. Just the classic mindless walking swarm of flesh eaters, which feels so iconic and again just refreshing when you're comparing it to the type of zombie slash infection movies that we get nowadays. The zombie and the effects also look really good in this movie, especially considering, though it's not a micro budgeted film, it's definitely a smaller budget film, but the zombies and effects look really good. And they cast a lot of people as the zombies with amputations and physical ailments. And first of all, I think it's just really inclusive, but also give the effects that little bit extra edge, because obviously it will help if someone's missing legs or missing an arm. And it just looks really fucking cool. They do a really good job with the zombies and effects in this movie. For a movie about a character's survival and the journey to get from destination A to destination B, obviously it's fairly reliant on characters and their story. The cast and characters do a pretty good job in this film. There are no standouts or anything, but for the type of movie that it is, they do their jobs perfectly fine. Like the lead in this movie, at times where he does have chunks of dialogue, I feel like his acting is a little bit iffy, if I'm being honest, but it's not a dialogue heavy film by any means, so all that again, everyone passes, it's fine, that's not a big deal to me. The setting is something that is pretty cool to me as well, having it set in Africa. We don't see a lot of horror movies set in those sort of climates and whatever. And it just gives us a different type of landscapes and everything as well. You got open plains, you got deserts, beaches, villages, and all of that is just something different and something that I think is pretty cool, like I said. And obviously with that being the climate and the landscape, the harsh conditions play into the story a lot as well, because a lot of the time it's getting from A to B, you have no water, the sun is just fucking blaring, so that plays into the survival aspect too, which I also really enjoyed. Now, I will say walking zombies are still effective to me, because first of all, one, they're fucking cool, and two, they're iconic. But also when they creep close and swarm in on someone, it can be pretty intense. And there are moments like that through this movie that I think are pretty effective. But also a lot of this film in general, again, because what it's about and the sort of pace and approach that it takes, it is also pretty slow. And I will say there are moments where not a lot is happening and it does feel like maybe it's dragging along. And there are also times where it's making out like it's building intensity and it's going to build up to a close call, and it doesn't really amount to much. So, I will say it does have those sort of moments in there, but still a solid movie and definitely an underrated zombie flick. Like I said, it was recommended as a hidden gem, and I definitely reckon it holds that mantle. And honestly, I feel like I don't really have much else to add. I think it's a good zombie film, one to put on your radar if you haven't checked it out. Like I said, from 2010, so it's been out for a while now. It's not like it's snuck up on you or anything. For a rating out of 10 for The Dead, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Solid watch. Like I said, does have its slow moments, but it's something different. The different setting, different climate, definitely takes, paces back from your faster running infection zombie films that we get nowadays, but it's a breath of fresh air. Like I said, you can't beat the effects and the looks of the zombies because, like I said, really solid, especially considering the smaller budget of the film. But definitely one I recommend. If you've seen The Dead, let me know your thoughts of it in the comments below. I know I brought it up before, but the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast, I talk about those guys a lot. But again, thank you for the recommendation. So go check out their channels as well. You got Mood616, JP, whose channel is Double Shot J. Tyler is also a host, but I'm not sure if he has a YouTube channel. Actually, I'm not too sure about that at all. I should actually figure it out. But those guys are awesome. Go check out their podcast or their individual channels, like I said. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me, guys. Thank you for joining me for this episode, and I'll see you for another video soon. Peace.